What if it was scientifically proven that your negative habits before bed are being programmed into your subconscious mind that then controls your life the next day, week, month, year? So in essence, if you understand these 4 negative habits, you can predict your financial future. Because if it's scientifically proven that you are programming your subconscious mind negatively about, for instance, money before bed from doing these 4 habits, then by default, you're going to be able to actually predict or create a new financial future by replacing these sleep time negative habits, because you're no longer going to be blocking what you want from coming into your life. Now, if you're new here, thanks for being here and welcome. If you're a returner, thanks for coming back. This is Jake with JakeDucey.com, and let's dive right into this. Mistake number 1 is going to bed angry, worried, or upset. Did you know that 70% of Americans say they're losing sleep over financial worries? So not only does not worrying actually help you sleep well, clearly, if 70% of people are losing sleep over finances, but it's also festering in your subconscious mind. So just before sleep, your brainwaves move into a state called theta. I have another video all about brainwaves that I'm working on, and it's pretty cool, but basically theta is referred to as the hypnotic brainwave state because in this brainwave state, researchers found that you're actually most susceptible to hypnosis. So for hypnosis to work, you need to be in theta, and your brain naturally moves into this hypnotic state, which basically means that whatever you're thinking about before sleep, it actually becomes a form of self-hypnosis. So this means that 70% of Americans that say they're losing sleep over money are also unconsciously using a form of self-hypnosis to create financial struggles. They're literally using self-hypnosis to create financial struggles. So rule number 1 is to never go to sleep stressing about money problems, or any other problems for that matter. Now, the question that I had, and you might have, is why not actually worry about money before bed? Like, is that real neuroscience? Is that real psychology that it will affect your subconscious mind? And these other 3 big mistakes that we're going to get into that don't revolve necessarily around money. For any area of your life, if you look at this diagram right here, this is something Bob Proctor often taught. It was invented by Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934 and popularized by Bob. Now you see it's a big giant stick figure with a huge circle, and the top half of the circle is the conscious mind. The bottom half is the subconscious mind. Now you see those big red arrows pointing straight from the conscious mind down into the subconscious mind. That's because every single place that your conscious mind goes, when it is emotional or it is habitual, goes directly into the subconscious mind. Psychologists tell us the subconscious mind controls 95% of your life. Stanford University did a study showing that you have 65,000 thoughts in a day in your subconscious mind. Now, the crazy thing about that is if 65,000 thoughts that are forming all your financial thoughts, your financial beliefs, and they become the basis for your money habits, your work habits, your productivity habits, if all of that is being controlled from the subconscious and you're in a brainwave state of theta, of hypnosis, where your conscious mind shuts off and your subconscious is just receiving commands that you're giving it from where you're putting your attention, then all of these red arrows are filling with a bunch of negative energy about money that's going right into your subconscious mind for that theta brainwave period, which then your mind marinates on subconsciously, and you set that up as a habitual program for financial struggle and more financial worry within your subconscious mind that then plays itself out in your waking life. Now that that's pretty clear, Mistake number 2 is to never go to sleep after an unresolved argument or disagreement with your partner, with your friend, with your coworker, with your boss, with your family member, with anyone. Because as I just illustrated, when you go to bed, you send it to the subconscious. So those emotionally charged feelings, frustration, anger, a problem with a partner, or something else in your life, an unresolved conflict, because your conscious mind isn't rational and your subconscious, which is your emotional mind, which is controlled not through logic like the conscious mind, but through emotions. That's what controls your subconscious. So you're sending all of those negative emotions, speaking to the language of your unconscious mind while you're in the theta brainwave state. The relationship between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind is exactly like a boss and a servant. So your subconscious mind is like a servant that just follows your commands and orders from where your attention and your emotions are. The crazy thing about it is a lot of the time we're really tired, right? Like you have a long day, things happen. The last thing you want to do is get in like some big, like deep conversation and solve a bunch of problems. Like you want to just go to bed and be done with it, right? But whether it's ongoing relationship and marital problems, whether it's a big argument you just had with your business partner, just an unresolved conversation, a lot of times people can't even sleep, first of all, but second of all, you're telling your subconscious to create more of it. So for example, before I met my wife, Ashley, I had a previous relationship with a woman that ended in not a good way. And so I was very angry, I was depressed, I was upset how it ended, and I felt like there was no emotional closure. And because there was no emotional closure, I was playing the same thought and emotional pattern loops. And so I was seeing it manifest during my waking hours because I wanted a new relationship many months later, but I wasn't having any luck. So what was happening that was keeping me up at night, right? And that might happen to you, like after relationships end, whether it's business or whether it's romantically, a lot of times people struggle with sleeping because all those imaginary combos in your head and all that stuff. And I realized I was causing my inability to manifest a new relationship because at night I was thinking about how I was upset and how it was unfair and they wanted closure and imagining conversations in my head of how it should go, right? So I was giving my subconscious the wrong direction. And when I realized that, I started to actually thank the woman for all the lessons that I learned. And clearly in reality, when I get past all my emotions, it wasn't the right relationship. So I'm thankful that it's creating the space for the right person to come into my life. And when I closed that emotional loop, what happened is I stopped thinking about that all night. And my mind started to shift to gratitude that the right person was on the way, right? You could feel that energy shift. And when I started doing that, I changed what was festering in my subconscious, which instead of it being a weed, ended up becoming a flower. And then I met my now wife, Ashley, out of nowhere randomly through someone else while she was visiting the state for 48 hours. That's the type of stuff that starts to happen. So the important thing is to have that conversation, tell that person that you love them, that you're sorry. There's a really cool pastor, his name is Craig Chrishell, and he always says in his marriage, they're never allowed to go to sleep when they're angry at each other. So he said that even his wife and him will lose sleep because they have to have those conversations because neither one of them want to fester that negative emotion and have it ruminate in the subconscious mind, hoping that everything will be fine in the morning, but instead they nip it in the butt right there so they don't bring that energy into their sleep, which then your subconscious mind, if that builds up a lot, you may eventually sabotage that relationship in a way that you weren't expecting to happen. So he says that you can practice calm, conflict resolution conversations, airing grievances in a loving way, discuss what's happened non-judgmentally, and if you feel like you're in too much of an emotional charge from a conversation that you had just in the bedroom or the living room or something like that, you go on a walk instead, getting outside, seeing the stars, the moon, breathing some fresh air. That could disrupt the energy pattern that allows you to get that resolution. If you can't get that resolution, or that person doesn't live with you and the conversation really doesn't make sense to have at that time, you could just pull out a pen and paper and journal it out. You could write out your thoughts, or you could write out a letter to that person that you don't even give to that person, but it gives you the necessary resolution to not bring that into sleep, and also just mess up your ability to go to sleep because you're sitting there thinking. And then you start to sleep like a baby. Mistake number 3 is to not bring your day-to-day stresses or work-related stresses or chore and responsibility-related stresses from your day into sleep. Now, if we go back to that diagram and you see here, again, you have a blank canvas of the stick figure drawing. Now, the subconscious mind is also receiving its programming from the environment. So on your conscious mind, you see there's 5 little marks. Those are your 5 senses. You see, you smell, you taste, you touch, you hear. This is stimuli, information from the outside world that is filtered as vibration, because all your senses are you interpreting vibration to see something, to hear something. This vibration is going into your conscious mind and into your subconscious mind. Now, if you are in a difficult time right now and your bank account is low, or you guys aren't getting sales at the job, you're slashing the prices, or maybe you haven't been able to sell your home, there's just something going on exterior that isn't the way that you want, and so rightfully so, you feel stressed and you're bringing that into sleep. Well, what happens is throughout the day, those 5 senses are bringing that limited negative energy, and you can see those big red arrows going right into the subconscious. It's like you look at your bank account and there isn't money in there. Boom, big arrow. That vibration goes right into the subconscious. Then same thing, you're having a problem at work, or you're afraid you're gonna get fired. All of that emotion, big red arrow, boom, from the 5 senses, that goes right into your subconscious mind. That vibration, that emotion is inserted. Now, when this happens, you start to program your subconscious mind to create more day-to-day conflict at your job, in your responsibilities, in your work life, in whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day. Now, think about it like this. Did you know 75% of Americans said that they're actively disengaged from their jobs? Now, being actively disengaged just means you're not happy and you probably don't want to be there. This creates a 24/7 state of stress and resentment, right? Think about it. So did you know that on top of that, over 80% of Americans are behind on their bills? They're living paycheck to paycheck. Or did you know that 60% of people say that they feel behind on their retirement savings? Right? That's a lot of things to worry about, and a lot of things that aren't going exactly the way people want them to go. The evidence of your 5 senses is contrary to your desires. And when that occurs, and you think about it from that diagram perspective, what happens is you're programming your subconscious mind to create more of what it sees, to create more of what it hears, to create more of the same old. And when you bring that into sleep, what happens is every time you have those worries about that thing at your job, that one thing in your life, every time you do that, while your brain is switching into a theta state, a relaxation, a hypnotic state, you are simultaneously flipping your nervous system on into a state of fight or flight, because thinking about those things, right? It creates fear, it creates stress. So that moves you into a fight or flight response. At the same time, your brain is going into a hypnotic state. So you are programming and hypnotizing yourself the same way a Vegas stage hypnotist gets someone to think that they're a dog and start barking like a dog and crawling around, right? Like the crazy stage hypnotist, where you're doing the same thing and you're using self-hypnosis to create more of what you don't want. Now, the cool thing is, I learned this the hard way. So you don't have to, which is, I became a father of 2 kids and I had a lot of trouble kind of adapting to all the new responsibilities being a good dad, being a good husband, running the businesses, dealing with all the money stuff, the work stuff, and then coming back and being energized and present as a husband and as a father. And so I had this time where I had like all this anxiety and I was tired and I felt like I had too much on my plate. So I'd go to bed and I would mentally imagine that over and over in my head, essentially using negative visualization to reimagine a deeper feeling of essentially feeling a victim or helpless. And I was waking up feeling the exact same way, right? Have you ever noticed that a lot of times, whatever you're worrying about, if you fall asleep worrying about it, you wake up in the morning worrying about it too. That's because the subconscious just puts it right in there and then it's ready to go right when you wake up. And what I started doing instead was a simple process where all I would do is turn on my success hypnosis that I would start to take advantage of theta brainwave states. I started priming it. I have a free success hypnosis. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's my free success hypnosis that you could start to use, right? Because I was already using affirmations. I was saying things like, essentially at the end of the day, all my worries were equating to, I don't have enough time, I can't get all this done, I can't control this, I feel helpless, right? I was using unconscious affirmations and I started listening to the success hypnosis, and as I was falling asleep, I would start imagining exactly what it is that I want, seeing my perfect day unfolding, seeing it in my mind, feeling it in my energy. And the coolest thing happened. I started getting all this extra energy. I started waking up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was never a morning person. And all of a sudden I had so much more energy and mental clarity to focus where I needed to focus. Then I'd have still tons of time left in the day to be a dad and all these types of things. And when I started doing that visualization before I went to sleep, my whole life changed. My income went to levels that I never had experienced before. I was more productive. I was waking up at 4 a.m., but at the same time, I had more energy. I was exercising more. I had more allotted time where I could be a present father and dad. And the same can happen for you. It's just a simple visualization technique of imagining your perfect day and how it will look tomorrow. And you can use my free success hypnosis right there down below as you do it. It's jakeshypnosis.com. And mistake number 4 is bringing your phone, your laptop, your computer, your television just before bed where you're consuming something dramatic, right? A lot of the movies, the Netflix, the shows, right? The whole thing about making a good show is that it's dramatic, but a lot of times they use highly charged emotional things where even if it makes you subconsciously afraid or grossed out or whatever it is, or repulsed, or creates a negative energy, they've designed it in a way where it still emotionally hooks us to keep watching. And a lot of times we bring that into sleep. So we're watching, and a lot of people actually watch until they fall asleep. So all of that emotion is going into the subconscious. People do the same with the news, and then people log into Instagram and you see someone else posting about how awesome their life is. Maybe it creates a feeling of jealousy, maybe it creates a feeling of envy, or maybe you see someone post something that politically makes you very, very angry, right? We're in this place where we're consuming outside information on a screen, which creates blue light, which is scientifically proven when we have blue light from our phones and from our TVs, that it inhibits melatonin production, which by default, purely chemically and biochemically, it shows that this is going to affect our sleep. But in addition to that, we're also consuming the type of vibrational stuff of drama, of fear, of war, of economic problems, of crime. Have you ever noticed, like, I go to the gym, and when I go to the gym, all the TVs are there, but they're always on silent? How is it that you could still feel the negative energy that's being projected of them when they're on silent? Well, it's because it's flashing images that are an image of this guy being shot and this lady being robbed and this kid that has this huge problem and this happened. So they're flashing the images while the subtitle will say like 4 shot you know, and it's just like, that's what you see. Guy loses retirement savings. We'll be back from the commercial break and we're gonna talk about Bill who totally ruined his life. Like, that's like the energy, right? And so when it's not news, the social media algorithms are designed to whatever creates the most negative emotion. They've found, psychologically speaking, more people hit the share button. So the more upset something makes you, the more negative it is, the more dramatic it is, the more repulsive and angry and righteous, that's what causes us to share things. So when we open our mind to that, that goes right into the subconscious mind. Then you combine that with the blue light and boom, no melatonin, neurotic thoughts all night. And we can stop that by making a conscious choice with putting the phone on airplane mode, turning the phone off, no phone for 30 minutes before, 45 minutes before, no television 30 minutes before, or maybe even doing something really cool like getting an alarm clock, because I noticed my mind would actually be like, well, I need my phone because I have my alarm and I have to wake up and like I'm super important. And then I was like, well, why don't I just get an alarm clock? So I started getting an actual, you know, those things, and then they have the time and it lights up in red or blue, like alarm clocks, right? Like we used to use those. And you can just press it and it's kind of cool to wake up that way. Kind of makes you feel good. So you can get an alarm clock, right? In addition to that, you could just have a lights off time where you don't even put the lights on in your room. Maybe you get a little candles or Himalayan lights. These things are the simplest way to stop shutting down the production of melatonin and not allow that to go into the subconscious mind. So as always, thank you for watching today's video. If you're new here, welcome. Smash the like button, subscribe, bell notification, and get my free financial success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com, pinned in the comments and in the description right there down below.